And with that, I think we'll move forward. And are there any public comments for items not on the agenda tonight? Jamie, are there any members of the public or people wanting to?
Yep, I do not currently see anyone raising their hands, so I believe we're good to move on.
Excellent. So then items for consideration and action. Item 1 are approval of last meeting's minutes.
I move that we accept the last meeting's minutes as published.
I second.
Jamie, may we have a roll?
Absolutely. I'll start with Commissioner G.
Yes.
And Commissioner Liu.
Yes.
And Commissioner Carter.
Yes.
And Vice Chair Wheeler.
Yes.
Chair Bedard.
Yes.
And Commissioner Dixit. I did see you nod your head. Thank you.
Excellent.
That passes 7-0.
Thank you,
Oh,
Jamie.
6-0, excuse me.
Thank you, Jamie. With that, we move to item number 2, which is the Santa Clara County Library District presentations, my favorite part of the commission meeting.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jennifer Weeks, County Librarian from the Santa Clara County Library District. I know we're all moving our backgrounds around a little bit today. So I'm going to kick off tonight with some district information, then turn it over for, of course, more local flavor from Rose. Let me share my screen. Make sure I've got everything clicked. All right. So, whoops. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Freddie. All right, so here's an update for September. Can't believe we're already there. To start off with some good news, our bookmobile, who maybe some of you have seen driving around the county, it covers over 1,000 square miles, but our supervising librarian, Ncla Willard, pictured there, is just been awarded the outstanding bookmobile librarian from the national organization, really, for bookmobiles. So we are very excited and honored to work with her, and she'll be getting her award virtually at the Association of Bookmobile and Outreach Service Conference next month. It is also the kickoff of Celebrate a National Hispanic Heritage Month. The funny thing about this month is it spans 2. So it actually begins kind of mid-September and goes through mid-October. And we're excited to have some both in-person and virtual events. And I'm going to save the in-person news for Rose to share a little bit later. But we're excited to, again, support this with all of our ebook collections, our Spanish and bilingual books, and lots of events coming up over the next month. The other new happening this fall will be homework help online, as we have done for the last year virtually for kinders through 6th graders. And then we're beginning some in-person programming, because this in particular we know has been a need as children have been distance learning. We have been working with the Bay Area Tutoring Association to begin some in-person tutoring help for 7th through 12th graders. Los Altos is going to be one of those locations. We will have trained tutors there to help the students with their homework, maybe some competencies in math and STEM. We're really excited to be able to offer this. We will be, of course, requiring masks, socially distancing the kids, and keeping all things safe. But we, again, know that this is really so valuable to have in person. So we're excited to be able to start offering this. We also have some fun stuff coming up. If you want to know a little more about your phone, what to do with it, taking pictures and all that kind of good stuff. So stay tuned. We're looking at in-person classes because, again, we've found that we can do those safely in small groups, and we'd like to give that a try, but we are staying flexible. And if it comes time that we feel it's a safer environment on Zoom, we will be doing that as well. So we appreciate your patience as we learn and grow with the ever-changing environment in our county to make sure we can continue to offer services most safely. I hope that for those of you who are interested in history, you'll take a look at Digi-Reel. So this is actually a project just recently completed, and we have been able to make those local papers from literally over 100 years now available online. So it's called Digi-Reel. It's lots of fun. You can look back in time and see some old pictures and different kinds of things that were happening in our county. So I encourage you to take a look at that. It is that time of the year. Our JPA Finance Committee meeting will meet October 13th, and our JPA board meeting will be October 28th. So that is all I have for me, and certainly open to any questions, or I'll turn it right over to Rose for the Los Altos Woodland update.
Let's go to Rose, and then we'll do a cycle of questions.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go share my screen as well. Okay. All right, so on the topic of the Hispanic Heritage Month, Jennifer did mention we will have our first in-person children's program. And thank you to Jamie and her team for being a co-sponsor and letting us use the soccer field. So we'll be located on the soccer field next Saturday, September 11th at 11 a.m. And it is a bilingual puppet show. We've had this puppet show in the library for a program, and they do put on a great program. So we're looking forward to having that. And going into statistics, our statistics have gone down in July and August, but I was looking system-wide. They have gone down system-wide, and that seems to be a trend. I think I mentioned it last month, that during the summer, there's a lot of traveling and people aren't checking out as many items. So we should see an increase in the fall now that schools started again. Items checked in, also a slight decrease from July. Patrons served at the library also went down. So everything kind of slightly went down, but not dramatically. So it's something that happened at all the libraries. And patrons served online actually did go up. So people are using our website and continuing to use our online services. Lolly is having their Science and Technology Week, and they're providing an online service program that's available to all patrons, which is a really nice impact to support our system and also recognize Lolly as opposed to having an in-person program. So it's a Zoom event, and it's on the topic of artificial intelligence. So they've hired Marilee Ncla to do a program, a speaker, and they've also sponsored tech grab-and-go kits for kids and teens, which our librarians will be putting together and distributing during Science and Technology Week. I think they're doing something related to lightsabers, like build your own lightsaber type of thing using some sort of STEAM. I'm not really sure, but I know they're really excited to provide that. And another grab-and-go kit that both our adult and children's have done together is take home origami kits. And you'll see the front of the library here, they're kind of created a origami community garden. And in the children's room, they did the same thing. And people were actually able to create their origami with the kits and bring it back and put it up in the library. So you'll see there were a lot of participants that participated in that. The grab and go kits have been extremely successful. They started in the summer and they just continue to be successful, and we plan to continue them. So thank you to the Friends for providing the supplies and materials for those. And that's all I have. Let me go ahead and stop sharing.
Thank you.
Sure.
So questions from the commissioners. I'll do a round robin, and Freddie?
No questions, thank you. Great presentations, both of you.
Commissioner Liu?
I don't have any questions. Yeah, I like those, the cute origami. That looks very nice. Thank you.
And Commissioner Carter from Seattle?
I don't have any questions that I can think of at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner G.
No questions.
And Commissioner Dixit.
Well, it was a lovely presentation, both of them. And I had some questions in my mind, but both of you answered them. So the first question was about the Book Mobile Library and, you know, how would we see the award being presented? And you said that would be on a Zoom. And I had another question about the online, you know, book exchanges or book received. And you had an update on that too. So, so the other presentation was, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. And, you know, I was remiss. We should definitely, I did not give you a hearty enough welcome to the commission. And, you know, perhaps if you have a second, tell us a little bit about yourself.
If I can find how to unmute, I will be able to tell you. Well, I'm very delighted to join, and I'm looking forward to learning what to do and how to help. I have just retired as an adjunct faculty member with San Jose State and Cal State Hayward. And I have volunteered with the Los Altos Library for sporadically for a number of years. So looking forward to coming back.
Excellent. Thank you very much for signing up and volunteering. And I'm sure we'll be working together in the, you know, as a group in the future. So that's great. Thank you. And I have no real questions about the presentations. Only again, thank you to the friends and thank you to Lolly for the AI. The AI presentation looks very interesting, and the doctor seems very good. So thank you. So with that, we're going to go to take up something that agendized from our last meeting, which is a discussion on Woodland Branch Library.
Aha, okay. So Jamie, do I have to have the documents open or closed when I share?
It'd be helpful if I unmute myself when I talk. They do have to be open in the box. And so I do have it up if you want me to show, but you're also welcome to share as well
I
too.
changed it. It's new and improved. So, okay, so, okay, so let me see. I'm always bad at this. Oh, I have to open it up. Wait a minute. Here we go. Do you see it?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So this is a revised presentation, and Carol and Nelvin and I have been working on this since our last meeting. As you all know, we've been working for about 2 years on a project to essentially solve the noise problems at Woodland. And that has morphed from a soundproof wall to actually an expansion of about 4,400 square feet. This is the site of the Woodland Library now. And if you can see my cursor, there is a huge amount of space to the right of the building that is available for an expansion. We have grown in population, and certainly South Los Altos has grown in population. There are a number of schools. There are a number of schools around, and St. Simon's students use this branch as an after-school study center and to wait for their parents to pick them up. There are a lot of kids who are tutored at this, at the Woodland branch after school. And the purpose of this document is to discuss how Woodland could be reimagined to better serve its patrons and possibly provide a permanent location for the Friends of the Library. So it's a two-phase reimagining of this library. The first phase is, and there's an immediate need to accommodate the Open Plus project that the county wants to install and get going this year, and to mitigate the noise in this building. The second phase is a more long-term planning effort to expand the Woodland branch to have a glass enclosed quiet area and to provide small meeting rooms and potentially provide a permanent location for the Friends of the Library operation. So the first phase, the Open Plus may require, I've spoken to, at our infrastructure meeting last week, our subcommittee meeting last week, Rose let us know that there may not be a need to really isolate the monitors and a lot of the equipment that's left out, because other branches, other libraries have not really had a problem with people either playing with them or stealing them or whatnot. So that may not be required. But we do propose in phase one, hiring a library layout professional. I'm not sure what you call these people, but someone who is an expert in how libraries can be laid out, and have that person assess Woodland to determine the best possible interior remodeling that would, one, accommodate Open Plus requirements, optimize the staff area, and maximize the separation of the children and adult areas, add soundproof room divider that was previously approved by the commission, and I believe it was sent to the county, to provide adults with a quieter area for them to read for enjoyment or to work, and then to replace the noisy patio door with a fire marshal approved quiet door. The door was one of the big sources of noise that was a source of a lot of complaints by patrons. Oops, sorry. So we propose a discussion with Ncla to obtain feedback regarding these projects and advice on how they might assist us. This is the current layout of the Woodland interior. The librarian and the staff area takes up this section. The stacks of books are over here. There's a rather small adult area here. The computers bridge the area between the adult section and the children's area. This is the very, very noisy door to the patio, which is back here. This is a picture of the librarian's service desk. This is the material, the equipment that we are concerned about. Does it need to be secured for Open Plus, or will it be okay? This is the staff area, and speaking with the staff at one of my visits to Woodland, they indicated that there could be some improvements because of the workflow and what they need for storage of books, but workflow, etc. These are pictures of the adult section. This is relatively small. It's just right here. There's a counter here, and a lot of the people who use the adult section just sit at the counter and work on their computers. This is the children's section. It's the larger part of the patrons area, and there is nothing that separates these two sections except the computer bank. So we did a field trip. The infrastructure subcommittee did a field trip and went and looked at two branches that have just recently expanded. Morgan Hill opened a new children's area. This is the open part, the reading room. That's Nelvin. Oops, sorry. This is the, no, sorry. This is the big glass enclosed room that they use. They've got all kinds of stuff stored in here during COVID when it was closed, but it will be used for all kinds of children's programs. They also have their children's lunch program in here. Morgan Hill also has enclosed quiet areas. It's got glass walls so that the librarians can see what's going on in the rooms. And this is what they look like inside, so that adults can have quiet spaces to read and to work. Cupertino Library is in the middle of an $8 million expansion that was approved by City Council funding. The whole top floor will be for children's programs, and the entire bottom floor will be community meeting rooms. So this is a picture of the outside of Woodland that is the area that we could expand into. It's a very, very large portion of this property. And it shouldn't have been in there at that point. This is a children's room, glass enclosed for kindergarten to 8th grade. They allow groups of kids, 6 kids in there, and it's first come, first serve. Talking's allowed. They can do what they want, and they can do it inside a glass enclosed room that keeps up the rest of the patrons from listening to the noise. The teens also at Cupertino have this huge space that is their study, their group study room. The Cupertino staff is using it during COVID, but this will be cleared out soon, and the teen study room will go back into action. So phase 2 of the expansion of Woodland, we've been working on it again, as I said, for about 2 years in an effort to help make it a library that adults will enjoy using. The noise level, the noise level at the Woodland branch, even during normal usage, but especially when the children are present, is loud. It's distracting for adults trying to read for enjoyment or working. The infrastructure subcommittee suggested the addition of approximately 4,400 square foot addition on that south side of the building, constructing glass interior walls and doors that would allow complete visibility for the librarian and the staff into the adult quiet room, small meeting rooms for tutoring, business meetings and the like, and a large community meeting room. So a new event has just happened. At the last city council meeting, the city council asked the Friends to work with the city staff to determine if relocating Friends to the Woodland Branch Library would accommodate their needs. So the infrastructure subcommittee is proposing expanding the Woodland Branch to accommodate the Friends of the Library and to provide an adult quiet room and the small meeting rooms. The community meeting room would go away, and a great deal of that expansion space could be used for a permanent home for the Woodland branch. And what I'm suggesting is that during this 1 year period where the city council would like the Friends to find their permanent location, that perhaps if this turns out to be something that the city staff and the Friends can agree upon, that the Friends would move their storage sheds, the 2 storage sheds of the books, to this space, bring in the larger portable building that they want to use to that space. And then while we work on this phase 2 project and get plans, feasibility study plans, and get all the necessary approvals from the city council and everyone involved, including the county, the district library, county library. They would stay in those in the portable and the sheds during that period of time. But if we can get this, if we can actually pull this off and get plans, we want to try to go out for donations. We don't expect this to be more than about a $4.5 million building. And we would go out and get donations and then start to build this. And the Friends at the end of the day would have a building that would accommodate their needs, that they could certainly be a part of the design team for that space. The Woodland branch would have a quiet adult space, and they would have some small meeting rooms. And this is exactly what the Woodland patrons wanted. They cited a lack of meeting and quiet areas when they were surveyed in 2019 in the Santa Clara County Library District survey. Here is a rendering of the space that we could expand into. And right now, this is the stacks, this is the adult section, this is the children's section, this is the library staff. There's just, the library, a professional library architect would be the person who would do this. But just as a thought, you might be able to put the small meeting rooms back here and then use this entire space here to share between this adult quiet room, wherever it could be incorporated, and then the rest of the space for the Friends. This is the area, again, that we have to work with. It's quite large. Here is all this space here that the city owns that would be perfectly usable to just create more of the same kind of parking. And you could have the parking lot go with the exit go all the way from here all the way out to here, and then exit to Grant Road right here. So you could add quite a bit of parking. So next steps and discussion. I know that the county library district is concerned that any kind of remodeling, et cetera, might slow down their pilot for this open access. And they've chosen Woodland specifically for the pilot because it's small. However, these plans will take a long time to come to fruition. I mean, we all know that getting things approved, getting plans approved, et cetera, raising money takes time. So in the time frame that the county is looking at to start this pilot, which is in this calendar year and next, we would certainly, this project would certainly not delay or interfere with open access. Oops. The other issue is Rose is concerned about the safety of her staff, and she had expressed concerns about only having one librarian to handle incidents in the expanded space. And the expanded space we were talking about at that time was the quiet room and the community room. So we should have a discussion, and Rose should be able, look at this and consider whether this amount of space and the way it's configured. So for example, if those small meeting rooms were where I indicated they would be, the librarians and the staff standing at the service counter would be looking directly into all those rooms. And then the only other room would be the quiet adult room. And I think, but Rose, I need your input as to whether or not the space for the Friends of the Library would be a concern for you, okay? And then just last, the point about the City Council instructed city staff to work to determine if the Friends of the Library could be moved to Woodland Branch as its permanent location. And I just want to propose that this may be an opportunity for a win-win if the Friends do agree to be relocated to Woodland. They could move their portables there. That would be temporary. At the end of the day, with a successful fundraising, they would have a really nice permanent place for their operations, and the Woodland branch would gain a quiet room for adults and small meeting rooms. So this was an issue that came up that Jennifer told me that there was this new federal source of funds to build library infrastructure. And this is really for the main libraries, for consideration for the main library. And because this is this is actually subject matter for the future subcommittee, I would like to not discuss that. And I would like the future subcommittee to be in charge of all further discussions of that because it relates to the main library. And Nelvin and I have talked about that and agree that that is what we believe should happen. So I just want to let you know that this is now going to Nelvin, but this is the proposal that the infrastructure subcommittee is proposing for the Woodland branch. And that's the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Freddie. That was great and detailed, and it's undergone some good transformations as you guys have moved along. At this point, are there any public comments? Anyone from the public who'd like to make a comment?
Let me move Ying over. She I think she rejoined and is in the attendees. Let me move
okay.
while you're taking a look at that. But as far as attendees, I don't see any hands raised from the public.
And I'm going to...
Friends of the Library has their hand raised.
We could... Jamie, how would that... they are members of the public, correct? Ergo, please, yep. Diane?
Yep.
I wasn't sure if I was a member of the public or not.
It's
whatever. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Diane Schmidt, currently a board member of Friends of the Library. And Freddie, your presentation surprised me, but I'm not unhappy. Really pleased that you started to think about some things that would help Friends. And just question for follow-up, have you talked to anybody in Friends about this idea yet? If not, I can get you in contact with the right people.
I haven't. I'd be happy to. I wasn't sure if I should wait until it's all resolved. I don't know. So I'd be happy to. I'd be very happy to. My subcommittee, which is Nelvin, myself, and Carol, we'd be happy to speak to the Friends.
Okay. So yeah, we'll wait until, discussion. And if ever you want to reach out, any of you, and you don't know quite who to contact in Friends of the Library, because we are a big group, we do have an email. It's president@losaltoslibraryfriends.org. And I'm monitoring that email, so I can certainly get you in touch with the right person.
Thanks, Diane. I appreciate it.
Anyone else who might consider themselves part of the public with any comments? So with that, let's go to the commissioners. And we'll start, I won't pick on the subcommittee guys since you did a bunch of the work, but let's start with Commissioner G.
I'm part of the infrastructure subcommittee.
Oh,
A big part, a big part.
All right, yeah, he did, yes, as I remember. Commissioner Liu. Ying? No, I know she was, and Commission.
Oh,
You froze, Milton.
Hello?
Here.
Pierre, can you hear us?
Hello?
He's frozen.
Yeah, I'll see if I can reach him, but I'll go ahead and at least go through. Let's see.
I'm sorry. I tried to unmute myself and I couldn't just now when my name was called. So I apologize. Like that was silent from my side. I was scrambled to find the unmute button. I don't have any questions or comments, and I think that was a fantastic work. So thank you so much for putting this all together.
Thank you, Ying.
Thanks, Commissioner Liu. Let's go to you, Commissioner Dixit.
It was great to go through the presentation, both when the notes were sent to me as well as now. So congratulations on all that hard work. I just have a quick question. There was a concern that there isn't enough staff. There's only one librarian. Do we have any idea of support staff, especially since we might be getting a home for the Friends of the Library? Would somebody there provide supervision, or are there any such ideas for? At this point, I don't know enough, so I'm just asking.
Rose, would you weigh in on that?
So our staffing is set by a budget that we're given for Los Altos and Woodland. And so I'm not sure, when you say support staff, can you clarify what you mean by support staff?
Well, I thought that perhaps budget might be an issue. And so support staff, I would mean a voluntary supervisor, perhaps members of the Friends of the Library who would find housing there, which would be great, or maybe some members of, maybe some parents who might rotate. Their children are staying and getting picked up or using the facility there while they're waiting for their parents to pick up. So I'm not sure what things are in place, but these were ideas that just came up, that we might find some volunteers who would provide adequate adult supervision to those expansions where the library staff is not enough.
Okay, oh, I see what you're saying. So unfortunately, I wish we could use volunteers in that capacity, but because of the regulations we have and the rules for staff versus volunteers, there are certain things that volunteers can assist with and certain things that staff could do. And with also regards to safety, this would be putting somebody in charge of a building and following our policies. It would have to be a staff member that we would have to put in.
I understand.
Hi, sorry I disappeared. My internet just dropped, so I think so. I just went out. But just to pick up on what I was saying, I think that the Friends of the Library information from the City Council meeting is very fresh, and there's going to be a lot of work that goes on, with the city staff and with the Friends themselves to figure things out. But this is a good adjunct to it. I also believe that, Freddie, you nailed it, that we shouldn't let this futures thing get in the way of Open Plus and moving forward with that and doing the things we need to do along those routes. I also believe that the planning, what really this is a call to action to actually spend some money and spend some resources in figuring out what to do, which is really good. So I commend great presentation from my perspective and everything. So very much good.
Just one minor point, and that is that the future subcommittee were the ones that research Open Plus and recommended that the library investigate. So we're not standing in the way of that at all.
Right.
No, but what's going to happen, and what I worry about, is that somebody will hear about Open Plus and think of it as a change to Woodland and say, wait, hold on a minute, we're thinking about doing this other thing, whatever that might be. And Open Plus should not be viewed that way. That's all.
No, exactly. And we all know how long it takes to get something done, right?
Yes.
And that's fine. There's many reasons for that, and that's fine. But timing wise, Open Plus is going to happen years before the Woodland first phase happens. So it's not going to interfere. And I just want, Jennifer and Rose to know and to know and feel secure that nothing's going to mess up Open Plus. Open access. I keep getting it wrong.
And Pierre, or Chair Bedard,
Sure.
we have, I think we've gone round robin almost through the subcommittee, except for Commissioner Carter. And then Councilmember Meadows does have her hand raised.
Okay, let's go to Commissioner Carter.
Regarding this presentation that Freddie's making on behalf of our subcommittee, I think it is a practical approach to making the Woodland Library not only a better working part of the system, but also a more attractive part of the system. The library branches that we looked at were functioning, and also they were welcoming and cosmetically beautiful. I would go as far as to say they were beautiful. And Woodland needs to be improved. There's no question about it. And there's plenty of space there. I would urge anybody who has any questions to go and take a look at the property. I would hope that our new city manager goes over there and takes a look at Woodland too. And I sound like I'm very hoarse, and I apologize for that.
Thank you. Yes, just visit Woodland, commissioners. Go sit in Woodland and see what's going on. It's a great experience. So with that, Councilmember Meadows.
Thank you, Chair Bedard. I didn't mean to usurp the commissioners going first. I couldn't really tell if you'd finished the order, but I just wanted to thank the Infrastructures Committee for that presentation. What I particularly liked about it is it took what was already a vision, took what happened at the last council meeting, which of course, not to say that there aren't going to be more, there will be, but it really put together a vision that I think makes sense. There's lots of little details. Well, sorry, I don't mean to say details are little, but there'll be lots of discussions that go on over time. But this broad brush approach has so much merit, and I think really captures value for that library and friends. Of course, you have to talk to friends, but I really appreciate putting such an important straw man on the table so that some additional talks can be built off of that. So good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, shall we close this item out and move to the next one? Jamie, should we go to, and I will share my screen and hopefully, of course, I'm not completely prepared. Bear with me a minute. Let me make sure I'm bringing up.
And Chair Bedard, while you're doing that, for the, just wanted to make sure there was no other additional action needed for the previous item, just presentation and feedback.
Oh, Jamie, could I ask you real quick? Do you know the status of that proposal to the county for the soundproof wall? Has the county received that? Remember that? Yes? Okay.
It was because I know this was quite a while ago, but it was I know Freddie from your from the commission's recommendation for the county to take a look at that. We can probably follow up and see.
Okay, and Jennifer, maybe could you see if you have that proposal and, you know, what, if anything, you think about it and could do about it?
Certainly, I can look back at that.
Super, thank you.
You know, you brought up a good point. Do we need to, I know that there was talk of taking this to the NCLA.
Yes, I would.
Commissioner Wheeler.
Yes, Cindy Hill was so kind to have a phone call with me this past weekend and suggested that taking it to the October NCLE meeting as a discussion, just to inform them of what the plans are, what the problems are, what the ideas are, and to just get their feedback. And so I would like to be, that's what I would like to be able to do in October for the NCLA meeting.
Is that an action we need to take, or is there any, I mean, or was this strictly for informational at this point, Jamie?
So it is on, and it is at the purview of the commission. It was listed as take action as appropriate. And so I know the subcommittee was looking for feedback, which has absolutely been provided. Subcommittee, do you need anything further? And I guess the only other question is you could take a motion to say that the full commission is supportive of the presentation and recommends it going forward to as a discussion item to NCLA if you would like to go that route.
That would be great. It would just kind of give it the official blessing.
Let's do that. So who will phrase the motion? Whatever you said, Jamie.
You can, whoever would like to do that can just say so moved to be the first person.
So moved.
Okay.
Well, is it appropriate for someone who's on the subcommittee to do that? I don't
Yes,
think so.
you can do that.
Okay. Well, then I will raise the issue of going to the NCLA with this proposal for discussion purposes in their October meeting.
Okay.
I'll second that.
So okay. And then I will go ahead and call roll. I'll start with Vice Chair Wheeler.
Yes.
Commissioner Carter.
Yes.
Commissioner G.
Yes.
Chair Bedard.
Yes.
Commissioner Liu.
Yes.
And Commissioner Dixon.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 6-0.
Thank you. So the next item is item 4, library naming rights. What I'm showing you is a site I've put up on which I call Los Altos Library Commission resources. I look under features. Can you guys hear me?
Now, yes.
I can.
Hold on. I need to switch my audio. Okay, audio switched. Yeah, my headsets just went. So what I wanted to do today is talk about library naming rights, only because of it's a proposal I've put together. Not so much a proposal, but for information. You can find, I know that Jamie put something into the minutes, but the complete presentation is can be found at this link. And I'll make sure we get that distributed. But what I was looking at in a nutshell is a draft view of the library naming rights for comment. In other words, as we look to fundraise, what are the possibilities and what can we do? And I surveyed a bunch of different areas. I defined naming rights. I talked about jurisdictional and local issues that are specific to either Los Altos or Santa Clara County, and then talk about some of the best practices. And in this document, you'll find, you know, definitions, what naming rights are about. And then I go into different county libraries and different jurisdictions and provide PDFs of their policies. For instance, in Sonoma, they break down exactly how they do things, and even, you know, go so far as definitions of what are up for I shouldn't say for grabs, but up for sale, and even go into I'm just going down here, I believe a price list of sponsorship and naming levels. So many libraries, including Santa Clara County, have a these types of rubrics to determine, you know, what you should do with a library in terms of fundraising and in terms of raising money for new buildings. Now in this also, so I have Sonoma, Gilderton Public Library is a town in upstate New York. But I think what I have that's most interesting is what was actually done within, you know, looking at things like, because we have the jurisdictional issues of the library are very interesting in that the city runs the library, apologies, the city owns the building and the infrastructure, but the county actually runs the library. So you have to go and figure out the stakes and who does what to whom in this process. The great thing though that exists, and I dug this up, and some of us have been around long enough, not me, to know this, is a memo that John Maginot put together in 2018 for the Ncla Redevelopment Task Force. And he clearly, in it, he outlines, and I believe I provide a copy of this. He goes into the naming policy and you know, of what Los Altos actually does. And so we have that definition. Again, this paper was really meant to document what other people do and what Los Altos does, or what we've done in the past. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that if the city council wanted to name the library after, I'm just going to bring this up as you know, right now you cannot, our policy is not to name things unless someone has passed away for 25 years.
But if the city council wanted to change the rules in any way and name it after a living person, or, you know, should they desire, the city council can actually do that. So while we do have rules and we do have ways of approaching it, it's not, you know, we shouldn't be limited. And again, this issue is going to come up again when we actually start redevelopment on the future side. But I wanted to make sure that I got this out to everybody and at least showed it that it exists, so that when this issue comes up 5 years from now, at least we'll have some areas, you know, some way to do it. So specifically, I would say sort out all the jurisdiction issues, define naming rights within the context of each jurisdiction, and if we have to, create an a la carte price list, and determine what to do with past donations and bequests as we move forward. And that's it. Thank you for your time. So are there any public comments?
I do not currently see any hands raised.
And then we'll go through the commissioners. Commissioner Wheeler?
Yes, I wanted, so I understood, I heard you say that 25 years after someone has passed before they can be named. What about corporations though? Is there any, you know, so let's say somebody wanted to donate, you know, $2 million, it was a company. Is there any time limit? What are the restrictions there?
I don't think, I mean, Jennifer Weeks and Rose may be able to speak to it from the county side better than I, and I could research it, but in my research, I don't think there is a limitation if the city council deems it appropriate.
One of the things that we saw on our field trip was everything had plaques on it. All the new spaces had plaques on it from the donors. And even in, I think it was Nelvin and Carol, I don't know if it was Cupertino or.
It was in Cupertino.
They had, is that where they have the tree? When you first walk in, they have this tree.
That's Morgan Hill.
That's Morgan Hill. Okay. And, you know, all these donations, all these people who had donated. So there certainly seems to be an opportunity for donors to be recognized by plaques or whatever, right? Yeah. Or, you know, this is their room.
Could I make a comment here? In Cupertino, they had different kinds of plaques. So I think that if you gave a smaller but still noteworthy amount, your name appeared with other names on a very handsome plaque. But if you gave by yourself maybe a very large amount, you got a plaque all to yourself. And these were very handsome plaques.
Yes.
I was really driven to this as to naming the building. In other words, I know there's rubrics for, you know, plaques and things like that, but I was really thinking big in terms of if we were doing a new library and, you know, somebody wanted to step up, would they be prohibited from doing so?
And is that a city issue? I mean, the building belongs to the city, so that would be the city's rules would apply.
Yes or no. Either, I mean, you know, as depending on what, as a lawyer, you know what I mean, right? I mean, those are things that would have to be looked at. And I really, the point of this paper or study was really to bring together a bunch of different ways it's done, so that at least there's some groundwork done initially. It does, I'm not going to pretend that I know all the answers on that one. Thank you, Commissioner Wheeler. Commissioner Liu?
I think I want to bring the perspective about definitely the naming guidelines and also the longevity of all this naming rights. The reason I'm saying that is I think recently we're probably all being made aware of the public school naming dispute
were movement. I think both in Palo Alto as well as in San Francisco, people spend a lot of effort in naming or renaming those schools. To me, I just felt like I'm hoping like the focus of the new library is not the naming rights, but more of, we're creating a sense of community and also a sense of sort of knowledge. Yeah, I think this is a great topic, but at the same time, I'm hoping we're not going to be bogged down on the naming of the library. Well, kind of hinder us from the ability to move forward with a new library, if that's, our goal.
Thank you. Commissioner Dixit?
I don't have a comment at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner G?
Yeah, I think it's good if the Los Altos has a price list. And obviously it's not just, and the price list could also take into account how many years the naming rights would apply. So a 1-year plaque is different than a 5-year list, different than a 10 versus one that's in perpetuity.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter?
I read your proposal when you sent it out on the email, and I think it's very good. I think this is an excellent idea. I imagine that there are some details that need to be worked out, and obviously the difference between the city's responsibility and the county's responsibility is one of those issues. But I totally support this as a fundraising opportunity.
Thank you. I think I went around the room. Are there any other comments from anyone else who might want to? No? Okay. Great. So thank you very much. And let's move on to our next item, which is the work plan. Now, I think Jamie has some news about the work plan, which will spur us to action.
Yes, and this will also be when we get to future agenda items. But as you saw from the agenda, we have this meeting and then the meeting in October. So the next 2 meetings to update your work plan. Currently, your joint meeting with City Council is going to be November 2nd. And so wanting to make sure that the work plan is representative of what items or goals you would like to try and accomplish over the next year. And so that is on the agenda to take a look at so that you may update it accordingly with that time frame in mind.
So I'll start off with a comment on this. I think that each subcommittee needs to come up with its own portion and its own viewpoint within the format of the current work plan. I know, and then all of us come back together and we essentially the work plan subcommittee would put some presentation together for the commission, for the city council. But I'm throwing that out as a suggestion of going forward. I'm not saying that I'm right. So I'm more than willing to get input from all the other members of the commission on this. Commissioner Wheeler?
Wouldn't each subcommittee just write their work plan and then it just would be cut and paste into the work plan? I mean, doesn't that make sense? Because I think we should be responsible for our own work plans.
No objection. I just, as long as we maintain some, a semblance of format that we all are one commission. That
Is a go-forward work plan for the next year or what?
It is supposed to be, Commissioner G. So it should be representative of what basically from the November, basically your cycle for when you go forward to City Council.
So November to November, what's
November to October, roughly.
okay.
So November of 2021 to October of 2022.
Okay.
Okay, and I take it that we're keeping the current structure and list of subcommittees. We're not changing things.
So that's could be part of the discussion. You're not necessarily tied, and having worked with the Public Arts Commission, actually what I found out, unless it's actually subcommittees are on a year basis, unless it's obviously action by the commission wants it to continue. And so you're not tied to these subcommittees. If you would like to amend it, you can. So that could be part of the discussion, but at the moment there are theoretically there's 5, with the work plan being the smaller one.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking is because this year we found that we had issues related to intersections, right? Futures and infrastructure that required that we have special meetings, etc. So to the extent that we can give a little more thought as to what subcommittees make sense, so we don't have that kind of issue, would be great.
I mean, I could see that. On the other hand, the point of the subcommittees is not to get into, you know, you only have up to 3 people, so you're not calling a meeting whenever you try to do something. But there'll always be overlap, I would think. But if the subcommittees aren't structured correctly, and if there's a better structure to be had, we should discuss that. That's a good point. Commissioner Liu?
Sorry, I missed the subject, like what you want me to comment on?
Well, you don't need to comment. I mean, we're talking about, you know, moving forward on the work plan. And I mean, different, you know, people are chiming in with different comments based on.
I thought like we just developed that work plan. Are we changing the work plan for next year? I heard that October, but I'm trying to understand it. Is that the physical cycle that we need to follow, or what does really October mean to us?
Yeah, so clarification, Commissioner Liu, it is your joint meeting with the Los Altos City Council is going to be November 2nd. So we have this meeting and the October meeting, or that time frame in between, to update the work plan to be representative of the next cycle year, which would be November of 2021 to October of 2022.
Okay, thank you. Time flies. I can't believe it. I felt like we just nailed down our previous one. So, okay. So in that case, I guess we need subcommittee meetings, and then will this also mean like we're going to reshuffle if people are willing to or choose to reshuffle the subcommittee members or rotate?
Yeah, and I think actually too, this might be helpful and maybe just a brief reminder for all. The work plan is actually goals and objectives that the commission would like to achieve over the next year. And then subcommittees, as Chair Bedard mentioned, is that these are smaller groups within the commission that work on some of those objectives and goals. And the current setup that we have, as I mentioned, there's the work plan, which was Commissioner Liu and Chair Bedard. We have our infrastructure subcommittee, which is Commissioner G, Commissioner Carter, and Vice Chair Wheeler. We also have our services subcommittee, which is Chair Bedard and Commissioner Crane and Commissioner Chan, who is the one that resigned from the commission. And then our awareness subcommittee, which is now just Vice Chair Wheeler and Commissioner Carter, because correct me, Commissioner Chan was on that one as well too, or used to be.
Yes.
Okay, so those were the makeups, which we can absolutely adjust and amend. That setup that can be part of the discussion.
Yeah.
Sorry. When is this discussion likely to be?
We're having it now.
Oh, this is the discussion. Okay. I see. I was just wondering where I could help. So I need to find out some more, maybe meet up with Jamie. So I will refrain from saying any more.
Now, and Commissioner Dixit, this actually might be a good time where maybe that is something, obviously we definitely need to touch base, and I can give you more, more detailed background on some of these things, but we could to maybe help facilitate some of these discussions and maybe get you acclimated to some of these different groups. Obviously going towards those different topics which obviously support the library, but if there is one, or if the group thinks that it might be helpful, we do have Commissioner Dixit that could fill in or help in some of those areas as we have this discussion.
But nobody knows me yet, so.
But in fact, you are replacing Commissioner Chan.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could be, we could definitely include you in the services subcommittee without hesitation.
And we could certainly welcome you to the awareness committee as well.
Very nice. I look forward to having at least a brief idea of what this would entail.
Okay.
And
working 5 days a week, 9 to 6.
I like you already.
I think that if you get a copy of our current work plan, so you can see the scope of the subcommittees. Jamie, is there a way that you could forward that to her?
That would be really helpful.
As well as all the information that Ms. Hill has always put together for us to acclimate us as to what's going on with the libraries and how everything works. And
right.
No, absolutely.
And I was, I found myself being interested in the last presentation about the naming too. That was something that I would like to learn more about. So
the purpose of the subcommittees was really to put us into groups, working groups, around key overall ideas that would allow us to go off and do things and then come back together as a group, rather than have the entire commission working through a problem by ourselves. So it's not something, I have preferences, of course, and biases, but there's, it really was meant to make us work better, and almost more of a structural thing. And plus, within each of the 4 subcommittees, there are areas where you can, there's lots of meat. There's lots of things to do.
And it also gives us an opportunity to work without violating the Brown Act.
Yeah.
So Chair Bedard, if I may, it sounds like a lot of the commission likes the idea of each of the subcommittees kind of working on what updates should be made, and maybe that is part of the discussion that, and what I was actually going to do is calendar-wise, our October regular meeting would fall on Thursday, October 7th. And what I was, and normally speaking, information for a regular meeting is posted that Monday before before our Thursday meeting. So if the subcommittees could get edits or things of that nature to me by maybe that Friday before, that Friday, October 1st, that can kind of be compiled into a draft that the commission could take a look at the October meeting, and you guys can take a look at what works, what doesn't, and then you could also come back or put some thought into, do these subcommittees work or do they need to be amended? And then that could be flushed out at the October meeting.
I agree. I mean, that sounds like a good idea. Commissioner Carter?
Yes.
Just thoughts?
I don't have any questions about this. I tend to think that having the subcommittees draw up their plans and then putting it all together as a full commission would be the most efficient way to do things.
Thank you. So do we need to take a motion on this, Jamie, to
No, the subcommittees can each work, and with the introduction of Commissioner Dixit, I'll make sure that those two subcommittees get Commissioner Dixit's contact information so that she can be included in some of those discussions. And then also I will schedule some time with Commissioner Dixit as well so that we can bring her up to speed, in addition to some of the introductions that she'll get with those two subcommittees.
Great. And we'll have this agenda item again. We'll continue this discussion in our next meeting with hopefully input from all the subcommittees. I'm asking, yes?
Yeah.
And time frame, is that doable for the subcommittees? That would roughly give the remainder of this month, with today being the 2nd, so a month or so before getting updates by October 1st.
Commissioners?
I think so.
I don't think it's a problem.
Perfect.
Great. And it doesn't have to be completely fresh. A lot of things continue on, right, are carried over from year to year for
They
some
can,
reason.
yes.
Excellent. Great. So that, would this close out our work plan item?
Yep.
Thank you. So informational items. Friends of the Library, Diane.
Hello again. So I have a couple updates from Friends of the Library. We had a board meeting yesterday, and we have formed a group, a team, to work with the city on next steps for our facility and location. And that's a group, Freddie, that I'll put you in contact with when you're ready. So as you can imagine, everyone was very disappointed. There were some frustrations, but we're ready to move on and take a good look at Woodland as an alternative location. We also chose our top 3 priorities for the year, just to share these in case you're interested. Obviously, number 1 is resolving the question of our facility. Number 2, this might be something people aren't aware of, but we are in conversation with Lacey, who will be launching the marketplace, Los Altos Marketplace, the public market that's going to be at 3rd and State Street. And we will be selling books there. And we're really following their guidelines, hoping that they'll be able to open in November, which is the current plan. So our second priority is making sure that launch is successful and changing our processes in order to launch this new sort of retail presence for us. So pretty exciting development. I'm excited about that facility just in general because of all the great restaurant options, but for Friends, I think this will be an interesting foray for us for the first time selling books outside of a library environment. And then final update, final priority is volunteer experience. As you can probably imagine, between our transition out of Hillview, working out of different facilities, and now with COVID, really our volunteer model and a lot of the things that people really enjoyed has been broken a bit. We no longer have a lot of get-togethers of the group, everybody in person. We don't work together as much anymore. It's more individual efforts. And we're starting to see a bit of strain from that, and people really miss the way things used to be. So we're really going to put a focus on that as a board. And now that some of the restrictions have been lifted, take a look at how we can better rebuild that unique and really positive volunteer experience we enjoyed in the past. Final update, we have book sales coming up, and I know you're all book lovers, so I hope you'll come. Next weekend, September 11th and 12th, we will be holding an adult book sale in the Orchard Room in the library. Thank you, Rose and Jennifer, for agreeing for us to do that. And there are going to be children's books available too. They'll be on Saturday. You'll be able to buy those from the ongoing bookshelves in the library. And then the really big exciting news is on October 1st through the 3rd, we will, for the first time in almost 2 years, we'll have our large community book sale. This will be in Lacey. And this will be where we'll be able to offer all of our books. We'll have a priority access for members on Friday nights like we used to do. And we're really excited to come and be able to hold this event for the first time in such a long time. So hope to see you there. And thank you for your support of Friends of the Library.
Thank you, Diane. Any questions? Commissioner Wheeler?
No, sounds very exciting. That idea, the fact that you're going over to that new space on 3rd Street, that's going to be, when is that, November?
Well, they're currently telling us they'll open in November, and I don't want to question their opening date, but I think anyone who's watched this development as it's proceeded, especially over the last 2 years, there's been fits and starts, but you know, it's looking like things are progressing quite well. So we hope for a November, at least, launch of the facility in our part of it.
Fantastic.
Yep. Commissioner Liu, questions, comments? Commissioner G?
No questions, just very excited, as Freddie was saying, about seeing this new chapter in the Friends of the Library retail presence.
Commissioner Carter?
I don't have any questions.
And Commissioner Dixit? My only comment is think of all the cookbooks you'll sell at the State Street place.
I won't be the #1 customer of those anymore. There'll be some others I'll have to share the books with.
But that is exciting. That's very exciting. Thank you. And with that, we will go to get an update from NCLA and Lolly.
Hello, everyone. I've been eating my dinner. That's why I've been off screen. So I have been here the whole time. So NCLA met on Monday, and we also got to meet our new city manager, just like you guys did today. We reviewed and approved our 2021-2022 budget. And part of the budget, we removed a $50,000 contingency fund for emergencies. And we did that because the county now has over $19 million in its own emergency fund. And they mentioned to us that we did not need to protect the libraries with funding in that way for emergencies, that they had the funding there. So we're very happy that our budget has been reviewed and approved. We also looked at NCLA's financial status, and the city of Los Altos did transfer $818,816, a lot of eights in there, back to NCLA so that we could put it in a different fund that provides more interest. And while this is the majority of funds that NCLA has calculated the city owes to NCLA, the board did direct Commissioner Epstein and Liaison Marcy Scott to draft a letter to the city to review possible interest earned that could have been earned or was earned from the parcel tax investment, which could be substantial. Like, I can't even estimate how much it is. But we're coming to closure on all of the financial transfer of funds that between the city and NCLA, which is really going to relieve a lot of people's minds and time, because we've spent a lot of time on this, and then we can concentrate on other things. Our next meeting is October 18th at 5:30. I did request that the Library Commission be added to the agenda to explore and discuss the possibility of restarting a library redevelopment evaluation. And I can change that to looking at Woodland, having a conversation about Woodland. So I will take that wording back to the agenda builders and make sure that you're on the agenda.
Thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome. So any questions about Lolly at this point? All right. And then with Lolly, as you saw, Rose showed off our speaker for Science and Technology Week, and we're very excited about Ms. Ncla to speak with us. Her credentials are amazing, and I've listened to a couple of her YouTube presentations, so she's very informative. And this is a topic that we felt that had widespread for adults, teens, and even young people, because artificial intelligence is just in our homes, in our lives, both business and personal. So we're looking forward to that. Lolly continues to do a lot of work on its infrastructure. We've taken a look behind the scenes, and we're working on a new website redesign. We're getting a lot of signatures on paperwork. We've had people that have been on our bank accounts that are no longer involved with Lolly, no longer even live in the city. So it's time to get them all that paperwork straightened out. And we're also looking at, as I've mentioned in previous meetings, we are looking at our areas of responsibilities and the skills that are needed for those, because similar to the Friends, Lolly is a working group. It's not an advisory only. So we have to find people who have the talents to fill our needs, because we would prefer to have it be fulfilled through our volunteers, our board, rather than paying for the services. And we will pay when needed, but we prefer to see how we can pull the communities together. One thing that we did take a look at is that our bylaws, there is no restriction on where people live. So because we've had a couple of interested people from Mountain View, because they use the library quite a bit. So when we go out for a call for volunteers through our nomination process, we are going to make it very clear that we have no boundaries. So I'm really excited about that, because it's going to bring in a different perspective. And of course, we're always continuing to look for people from Los Altos Hills. We've had a few of our Los Altos Hills board members retire. And so we're needing to expand in that area. Our next meeting is September 14th, which is a Tuesday, and it's at our usual 8 a.m. time. We will continue to meet by Zoom because we do not want to overtax the library. We've checked in with Rose, and the teen room is still being used for other things, and it's also having too many people in a small space. We just can't do that. So frankly, I'm still enjoying the Zoom meetings, because then my commute is so short. So, all right, any questions?
Love that.
Commissioners.
No questions.
All right, thank you.
I have no questions.
My only comment is, yes, thanks for the continued support from the Lolly side. I think we're really moving forward, and I'm really thrilled to see a lot of the NCLA stuff get resolved between the city and us. The things need to work, so that's great. Thank you.
Welcome.
So next on the item on the agenda is information and announcements from the city.
Thank you, Chair Bedard. Just a couple of announcements. So in the report, I had information on our fall programs. Those are open for enrollment, and those programs will actually start after the Labor Day holiday and will go through December. So registration is available on our city website and through our new software system, Civic Rec. And this is going to be our first foray. We're hoping things continue more positively, but this was going to be our first foray into in-person indoor programming. We mainly were outdoor, in-person, and virtual for kind of the winter, spring, and summer timeframes. So we'll definitely see how that goes. We still are maintaining our virtual rec center, which just has some opportunities on the website. And then information is always on COVID-19 vaccinations. That information is on our city website. Two things that I wanted to also update is more information to come, but we do have our ribbon cutting ceremony for the community center, which is scheduled for October 2nd. More information will be made available shortly here, probably in the next week or so, as far as details go. So please be on the lookout. Probably at the end of next week is what we're looking at. But as far as date goes, it is Saturday, October 2nd. In addition to that, we're still working out details, but theoretically, virtual meetings, at least approval through the state with legislature allowing virtual meetings, theoretically comes to a close September 30th. So we're looking at plans for potentially having in-person meetings in October. I don't have all the details yet, but I will definitely share those as that comes available. But I just wanted to share that that is something that we are looking at and anticipating, and obviously we'll share more details once I have them, but just wanted to inform the commission of that progress. And that's it for me, unless there are questions.
Commissioners?
I do have a question. Oh, well, first of all, congratulations on the community center. I think as a resident of Los Altos Hills, I'm definitely jealous of, our sister city have something grand and brand new. And I passed by that building the other day and I saw like, wow, that's great. I know that's not trivial and probably pricey as well. But on the other side, definitely congratulations. I know there are a lot of hard work and effort in that project. But on the other side, I think you mentioned that very soon we may be able to meet in person. So I'm actually not quite sure what's the protocol right now, but will remote access still being an option, or once we're in person that we all have to be in person?
No, great question, Commissioner Liu. And that is part of the details that we're working out, because something that I think we've seen is that we've had a lot of increased but different type of engagement because of the virtual option. And so that is something that we are looking at, how that might function and if that is going to be an option. And so that is absolutely part of the additional details that I'm hoping to get as they're working that out. So I will keep the commission updated should that continue to be an option.
Thank you. Yeah, because it just I'm sure we probably have read all the reports and things like that. And honestly, even at my daughter's school, I know sometimes the kids may get quarantined just because of close contact, not necessarily test positive. So unless I feel like unless we have a procedure to either do a health declaration or provide some kind of thing, and so we'll all be safe.
Absolutely. And safety is definitely number one in my book. So we will definitely take that into consideration. I'll make sure to share that information.
Yeah, my only comment on this is I'm not apprehensive, but sort of in shock that we'll actually be meeting face to face. Like how, it's been too long going through this on Zoom. And, it's almost now this is the new normal of meeting. And very convenient in all sorts of ways. So, but anyway, I know the city will do the right thing in making sure that the right precautions are taken and et cetera. Thank you. So this leads us to the commissioners' reports and comments. And in this section, we go through the different subcommittees who report in on what they've been up to, or whether it's anything or nothing or et cetera. So we'll start off with the infrastructure subcommittee.
Well, I think we gave our report at the beginning of the meeting and have nothing further to add.
Thank you, Freddie. Other subcommittee members in agreement with Commissioner?
I think we've said it all.
Services subcommittee, I'm the only member here. I've had an incredibly busy month and had to cancel out our meeting with Rose. But one thing I will highlight, and of course the subcommittee had nothing to do with it, but the hours are expanding to where, as was announced, which is a huge service, where you'll be able to go in the library at night. Anyway. So next would be awareness subcommittee.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, it's a little too big. Let me make it smaller.
Perfect.
There you go. Okay, this is our ad for September, and Cindy Hill suggested this ad. So Cindy, thank you for your suggestion. We appreciate that very much. It's a feature that maybe a lot of people don't know about, where you can suggest a purchase. You can suggest up to 10 titles per month. And if what you have suggested is purchased, when it's received, it'll be on an automatic hold for you. And you can track your titles progress on your dashboard. So that's the ad for September that will be in the town crier that Lolly sponsors for the Library Commission. Okay, now I have to find you guys again. Oops, where are you? Okay, stop share. There you are. Okay, I'm so bad at this. So the awareness committee met last week, and we decided that we would feature these are the resources we would feature for the last 3 months of the calendar year in these Lolly ads that are in town crier. In October, we agreed, and all of this input is also from Rose, who knows what the programs are going to be at the library. So in October, we're going to feature Scholastic. In November, Story Time, the lovely, lovely Story Time with the Mandarin Chinese speaker who has such a huge, huge audience. It's really an incredibly well-received service. And then in December, we're going to highlight the Mercury News. It's a a new addition to the newspapers that you can get access to for free on the library, and includes the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. It's a really nice collection. And at the August subcommittee meeting, Rose asked us to look at PSA opportunities for the unincorporated areas around Stanford. And she provided us with a map, which neither one of us could figure out how to use. So Rose showed us at the August subcommittee meeting how to use this map. And we went through it together, and we realized that it looks like most of the academic buildings and the medical buildings are in the unincorporated areas of the county. And what we're doing here is we're looking for opportunities for PSAs, like Carol has looked for them in the past. She has identified so many PSA opportunities, nursing, assisted living centers, the Kiwanis Club, the TV station, and the radio station at Foothill College. So since Carol comes from academia, she has agreed that she's going to reach out to the chair of the College of Communications at Stanford and get some advice and ideas about how to tackle this project. But what we're looking for is, do these different schools, like the School of Journalism, the School of Nursing, the School of this or the School of that, do they have internal newsletters? And if they do, would they allow the library to provide PSAs that they would publish in their newsletter? And this would be another opportunity for the library, for the main library in Los Altos, to publicize events that are being available and get to an audience that we might not have reached otherwise. So that's what we're doing. That's all.
Can I make an addition to that?
Yes, please, Carol.
We haven't started doing this yet, but we will when the campus comes to life, which will be later this month. And I will make those contacts.
Thank you. Any questions from other commissioners?
Yes, just one. When we are talking about reaching out and asking for people to host or to accept our PSA announcements, how many are we making per month? How many announcements do we have?
Well, that's, Rose, can you talk about your program for how you put the PSAs in place as an option for your librarians?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks. With thanks to the awareness committee, Freddie and Carol and Virginia, they had found several locations for us to put the PSAs out in the community. And with that, we have a staff member, Devin, who has created a really great document with details about the locations of the PSA. And our librarians, part of their job when they are promoting programs is to promote to these, the different locations in the community that really are fit for the audience of the program. So they will decide. So it very depends on the programs we're hosting and the audience and where the PSAs will go. So it could vary with our system-wide Zoom programs. It's a little bit trickier, but when we have in-person programs, we are able to promote locally for our local programs, but they are promoting our online programs as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. So with that, futures.
Yes, the future subcommittee is ready to report out on the next item on our work plan. However, given the time right now, perhaps we should agendize it for the next library commission meeting. I'll leave it up to my fellow commissioners to decide if they want to sit through a 15-minute presentation or not.
Why would you do? Can we agendize it? Would that be a better, and then distribute it prior?
Yes, we can definitely do that. So I'll add it for the agenda for, oh my goodness, October. I can't believe we're there already, but yeah, I will agendize it for October.
If that's okay.
Yeah,
also,
I thought it was on the agenda, but apparently not.
Oh, does it, I mean, is there harm in waiting, or do you, if you think it's worthwhile to proceed, Nelvin?
I can give you guys a really quick run through because given what Cindy talked about, I think it's relevant. And I think maybe waiting another month would perhaps take away from that.
If that's the case, I think maybe I wouldn't have any objections to going forward with it. I know you'll be brief and to the point.
All right.
I mean, if that's, Jamie, is that okay? Or
yeah, it is an update through the subcommittee.
Yeah. Other commissioners, just polling, are you not everybody's good? Okay.
And I promise I will be fast.
Just one quick thing. I'm so sorry that I have to drop off for another meeting. There's a group of people from my work that are waiting for me, and I was part of this. But again, give all credit to Nelvin for his fantastic work. I mean, full support of his initiative and all the slides he put together. So, but I have to drop off for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Go.
All right, folks, see my screen. Let
Yes.
me see if I can get this into presentation mode. All right, I did not list out the members of my subcommittee, but they are myself, Julie Crane and Ying, and I really do appreciate all of their help in terms of getting this to this particular point. I figured what we'll do is start off with the Santa Clara County Library District mission statement, which you can see here. Basically, it's free access to educational, recreational materials and services. It's responsive to the community in terms of the resources and the materials provided. I wanted to ground folks in terms of when the background on Los Altos Library. Basically, where it sits today was originally built back in 1964. We have about 28,000 square feet. And as you can see, over time, voters have passed various measures to improve the library, the last one being in 1990. The Woodland branch is, as you know, quite a bit smaller, and it was actually built in 1975 as part of a bond measure that also expanded the main library. And Los Altos is unique in the fact that within the Santa Clara County Library District, we're the only one that has 2 library branches. I did a comparison of the various libraries within the Santa Clara County Library District. Green is probably the newest or the biggest. Red happens to be the oldest or the smallest. So right now, our Los Altos Library is actually the oldest within the district. We're actually like the 3rd largest in terms of circulation and annual gate count. In all the other parameters, nothing noteworthy. However, I would point out that the cities of Campbell, Cupertino, and Morgan Hill have done things recently to either dramatically improve their facilities or to add on to it. We did have in place with Ncla a number of things towards a redeveloped main library. A 2018 needs assessment identified that we could use an additional 12,000 square feet at minimum for the reasons that you see there. There was an estimate about the cost, and a number of, with the task force that they had in place for redevelopment and a budget, they interviewed a lot of the key community influencers, and they were on target for a bond measure for 2020 that was ultimately shelved because of the way events were unfolding at that time. I would point out that the need for that site improvement remains, and that's the point of this particular presentation. The polling identified some key needs, and you can see a lot of it's really around space and flexibility, and essentially improving the library in terms of helping people use the technology that they bring to the library itself. Wanted to show some of the meeting spaces. So here on the left-hand side, you'll see Milpitas. They have 2 medium-sized study rooms and 2 small meeting rooms. As you might recall, within the Los Altos Library, the main library, we have the single large room, the orchard room. Okay, Saratoga has a number of something similar in terms of meeting space. Morgan Hill is one of the libraries that invested recently. At the very bottom there, you can see they added a new children's area, but adjoining that is a large multi-purpose room that includes kitchen facilities so they can support children with after school meals. Their community room is about the size of the orchard room, but it can be split into a large and a small room configurations for different groups to meet of various sizes. So originally the future subcommittee was thinking, gosh, do we need to define a roadmap for how we're going to think about the future of the library? And we thought, you know, rather than being prescriptive about the action, about what that might look like, what the scenarios are, we thought it was better to kind of pose the questions that someone who is better equipped to answer them can handle. And so we thought the key questions are, what are the needs of Los Altos in the future? There are things that are happening in the community, such as higher density affordable housing projects, and they're going to have needs that may be different than the folks in the city today. And then there's the question, what is the right footprint? We're the ones that have 2 branches. Is that the right answer? Should we have satellite operations? Should we have fewer in order to have greater centralization for ease of management? And then there's the question that we pose regarding Woodland. You know, where does that fit? Would it actually be better to expand Woodland so that way you have a bigger runway towards the rebuilding of the main library? And what about the funding? Should the funding be combined with something else? And so there are a number of factors to be considered. And so therefore, our recommendation is that the Library Commission formally request that the NCLA reconstitute the redevelopment task force. The need for the redeveloped library is still there. NCLA is best equipped to help us get there by thinking through a lot of these issues, which we as an advisory committee can only do so much with our limited resources. And of course, we would be supportive as to how we could possibly work with them, given our responsibility and accountability to the city. And that's the presentation.
Wow. Are you going to stop sharing or?
Yes, let me do that.
Oh, okay. I mean, you know, we really can't, I mean, this is good information for sure and extremely well thought out. I mean, I'm just going to go in and comment. I think it should be agendized so that we can take action on it. At least discuss it and, you know, approve, disapprove it, or make suggestions. It's, you know, everything. I mean, that's my comment. Commissioner Wheeler.
Excellent presentation, and I agree. This is something that we should act on, and the sooner the better. Really, very, very informative. Thank you, Melvin.
Yes. Commissioner Shavira?
I'm fine with, yes, that's fine. I'm fine with discussing it next time, or if you want to discuss it or move forward with it, I'm fine either way.
Yeah, and the reason why I brought it up with any sense of urgency is simply because Cindy was talking about NCLA focusing on the redevelopment efforts again. And I wanted to make sure that at some point the Library Commission can put its stamp on that and say, we do request that NCLA does that, and therefore, you know, it provides us a level of agreement with that.
Commissioner Carter?
Well, Melvin has put in a lot of time on this, and he's very well versed in the comparisons of the various libraries. It's a really succinct and informative presentation and report, and I think it should be agendized too.
And I'm going to go out of the way and ask Cindy if you have any comments, because I know you definitely have had opinions about the redevelopment committee or redevelopment as a whole.
So I want to say ditto that Melvin has done an excellent and accurate job of pulling together the salient points of the history. I think the one thing I would add is about the 2008 attempt to redevelop the library, just to show that this has been an ongoing opportunity for us. And I think the Friends led that initiative in 2008. So I would love to have a copy of the slides. I want to make sure that you have some time on the NCLA agenda to talk about this, about how we can go forward.
Yeah, Cindy, could you do me the favor of checking your inbox? I sent you a copy, maybe a draft, a few days ago.
Oh, I did not receive it, and I just checked my spam today, so I will check again, but thank you for letting me know, Melvin.
No problem for me to send it out again.
Thanks for the heads up. I'll check, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
Diane?
Yeah, thank you for that, Melvin. And I'm really happy to see that the Library Commission may be interested in trying to restart this effort. I was also part of the NCLA task force, and I was one of the committee members. Not only did Friends of the Libraries try to do this in 2008, but also in, I think it was 2014, we tried to revise the 2008 effort, which, just for information's sake, it was an addition to the main library, not a redevelopment as we were looking at the last couple of years. I think that it's good for the commission to discuss this. But one of the questions I think we should think about is the community's readiness to consider a project of this scope. There are some favorable indications, or they're not really indications, but some favorable events have happened that may indicate that, such as the community center opening, having the grand opening. But I think there are also some considerations that are pretty serious, and it's still our situation with COVID and the pandemic. And I think I would add one other one, which, Gabe isn't here anymore, but I know when he came in as city manager, he made some comments about, I think it's quoted like getting the financial health of the city, because this is a city-owned building, and even if NCLA launches a bond to fund it, it will require city resources. So just a couple questions to add, but I would love to get the slides too, and I'll think about this some more, because I know there are many members of the task force who would be excited to have something positive to work towards instead of all the disappointment we had a year and a half ago. So thank you.
Great. So do we need to move to agendize this, Jamie, or is it something we can discuss it in potential? Okay, coming up. On the work plan subcommittee, I think we're clear as to where we're headed with that. and nothing more to report there. So potential future agenda items to discuss. This being probably one of the biggest ones. The work plan, of course, I think I'm just throwing these out there. Please, commissioners who are left, let me know. But those are the two that I would suggest.
I agree with that. I think Nelvin's proposal should go first, and then the work plan, and everybody should have their work plan submitted, and hopefully it will be nothing more than collating them together.
Easy.
I hope so.
Nelvin? Commissioner G, do you any other potential future agenda items?
No, that was our big deliverable.
And Commissioner Dixit? This is where we decide if there's if you'd like to see something on the agenda for discussion, then you and I believe one other commissioner would agree, and then it would get put on the agenda. If I'm correct, Jamie, I think I am.
Three commissioners.
Three commissioners.
So at this point, no, I will meet up with Jamie in the near future, and then perhaps also talk to some of you, and maybe next time.
We'll reach out for sure.
Thank
and
you.
Commissioner Carter.
No, I don't have anything further to add.
Great. So the last, I'm just going to make a couple closing comments that three of us applied for the Library Commission and were interviewed by the council, though Commissioner Carter couldn't make it, but I don't think it is an issue. And hopefully we'll be hearing as to whether we are reappointed. That would be myself, Commissioner Carter, and Commissioner Crane. It went very well.
I submitted a statement because I was out of town at the time of the interviews.
I think it's not an issue. It sounded like you were
good.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue at all. So, but we got really good positive feedback from the city council, which was real nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, we've done some great things in the last 2 years, and I know this commission is going to continue to do great things. We're doing good things. So with that, I will adjourn our meeting of September 2nd, 2021. Welcome, Commissioner Dixit. And thank you all for staying the course.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.